Hey guys, Rob here again, one of the faces behind Integrated Wellbeing. This is the second video of the three-part series on creating time for yourself. If you remember in the first video, we talked about how do you create time, how do you create choices, the choices that you may have about you wanting to travel or wanting to spend more time with the family, just wanting to have more control over your life about what you're doing and how you're doing it. And we talked about, well, you actually need money to do that. It's the world that we live in, that you actually need money to be able to not be at the beck and call of other people and have those stresses and pressures of all the things around you. I discuss that, money is just money. It's just a tool to get you there. I'm not into money worshipping or anything like that. Money is just money, and there's plenty of other things in life that you get without having money. But what we're particularly talking about here is creating time for ourselves and choices, and you'll do that with money. And when I talk about money, I want to talk about a specific type of money, which is a passive income or residual income. So what is a passive income? A passive income is an income that comes into you whether you're working it or not. Okay? So for an example, it might be the royalties for a singer or book royalties for an author. That's a sort of an example. The work is done and then the money still continues to come in. So does it make sense? Yeah? Okay, so I just want to tell you a quick little story that when I heard the story, it was like, wow, that's a light bulb moment for me. That just makes so much sense, because I grew up in a society, and the idea is that you went to work for your 40 hours a week, for your 40 years, and then you retired, and hopefully you had enough money to retire on, but it's getting more and more difficult to do that unless you plan for yourself. And and you go work your 8 or 9 hours a day or 10 hours a day, and you provided a service for your boss and for the people, whatever that service was, and you got paid for that. And then he made money on top of whatever you got paid for. In a way, he's making his residual income, isn't he? So this story is just quickly, it's about a guy in Africa, and he was in a village, and the village was about 1 kilometre away from the water source that they needed to get their drinking water from. And so he came up with the idea that he would go down and he'd have a couple of big barrels, empty barrels that he could fill up with water, and he'd carry them on his neck, and he'd go down and collect the water, bring it back to the village, and he'd sell it to the people in the village. He'd provide a service to that village, and they loved it because they didn't have to go down there, so he'd provide it. And he found he was making quite a good income for that situation. He was looking after himself, he was looking after his family, so that was really, really cool. So then another guy saw what he was doing, and he thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I could do that. I could support my family and myself like that. So he started doing it. But what he did it a little bit differently. He, instead of working the 10 hours a day, he worked 8 hours a day. All right, so he's earning less money than the guy, because he obviously couldn't do as many trips as what his fellow worker could do. But what he did with those other 2 hours, this is the key. What he did is he built a pipeline. He built a pipeline from the water source to the village. Now that took him a year, because he had the 2 hours. He did that 2 hours a day. It all depends what you're going to put in. People, whatever you put in is how quickly it's going to take to build your pipeline. It might be a year, it might be 6 months, might be 3 months, might be 2 years, might be 5 years. I don't know. It's totally up to the individual, but it's about what are you doing now to create something for later. So he's built this pipeline. Took him just under a year, but when it was finished, he turned on the tap. He turned on the tap, the water came out, and all the villagers are there, and and they just need to turn on the tap. He doesn't even have to be there, it's just getting their water. So, and that to me was just like, wow, that is so cool, because as I said, I've been told this is the way you're supposed to do it. So he invested in himself, and he created this pipeline. So I just thought that was amazing. So in the next video, I'll give you a specific way to create the pipeline. And whether you take that on board, that's totally up to you. I just hope whatever pipeline you've got or whatever future you've got planned for yourself, that you're striving for the best. You know, you want to thrive and not survive. So I wish you all the best. But if you're back here again for video 3, I look forward to sharing the opportunity. Until then, ciao, bye.